So it is now Christmas Eve, which can only mean one thing. We are now officially halfway through this championship season, and in today's video we've got a lot to go ahead and talk about. We'll split this video into two parts. The first half of the video will round up all the action that went down in the championship over the course of this weekend, and then in the second half of the video I'm going to be giving you guys my Boxing Day score predictions for what I think is going to happen there. So make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below as to what you make of your team's performance this weekend, and as well as that, make sure you do leave your Boxing Day score predictions for a chance to be involved in the next video. And speaking of your score predictions, I will include them on screen now if any of you guys did successfully manage to get any of your score predictions correct this weekend. Apologies if your comment wasn't included. We had an absolute flurry of them. We had over 500 comments, so I literally couldn't fit them all on, but fair play to everyone who did get one right. And congratulations to Harry Donaldson, who was the winner of the giveaway we were doing in the last video as well. So if you could leave your Twitter or your email address in the comments down below, that would be much appreciated, so I could send you a DM to go ahead and sort you out with the gift card. But without further ado guys, let's go ahead and hop into talking about some of these games. And so we'll start things out at Ewood Park between Blackburn and Norwich, where Norwich walked away with all 3 points thanks to Teemu Pukki scoring a late winner once again this season. How many times have we said that so far? But in this game, Norwich had a couple of difficult circumstances. Both Buendia and Leitner went off injured in this one. Two of their most crucial players really, especially in terms of creativity going forward. They're two players who Norwich can't be affording to lose in the long term going forward this season. But for the first half of this game especially, I thought that Blackburn were looking quite good actually. Their intensity off the ball to close down Norwich was good. They were opening them up, having some chances of their own. Norwich also were having some chances in that first half. David Ray had to pop up with some big saves in this one. Stiepermann went close, and Ben Godfrey went close on a couple of occasions as well. It was sort of an end-to-end game. Norwich were having quite a lot of the ball for this one, looking to play Blackburn around and open up some spaces, and then finally the deadlock was broken in the 86th minute. It was a very nicely worked goal as well. Varancic playing a nice through ball into Onel Hernandez. He played it into the far post where Teemu Pukki was the man on the spot to tap it in to make it 1-0 to Norwich. And in the end, that was how this game did finish. A little bit of a frustrating one for Blackburn because I did feel like they could have got something out of this game, but a massive 3 points for Norwich going into Christmas. And then we saw Brentford going up against Bolton with the home side walking away with a 1-0 victory thanks to a Neil Maupay goal in the second half. Once again, it was quite a poor performance from this Bolton side who only had one shot on target and didn't really register much of an attacking threat going forward. You could see their game plan coming into this one was to make it tight. They were playing with quite a deep line, weren't letting Brentford pass in between the spaces and getting a lot of space in behind. Brentford had the majority of the play for the first half though. They did create some chances. Ollie Watkins had one which went over the bar. Romain Sawyers had a couple of efforts. Ben Rama had one saved. But in the second half, Brentford's attacking quality did finally pay off. It was Ben Rama who hooked the ball back into the box. Neil Maupay managed to get a half turn on his defender and then fire it into the roof of the net to make it 1-0. After that, Bolton tried to get back into the game but didn't really register much going forward. This result now leaves Brentford 6 points away from the relegation zone, which will be a nice booster for them going into their next few matches, whereas Bolton are still sat in the bottom three, and considering they're the lowest scorers of the championship this season, you question whether they've got the goals in them to stay up. Then we had Derby drawing 1-1 with Bristol City. A good game to watch this, both sides having a lot of chances, and it really could have gone either way. It was the away side who took the lead thanks to Jamie Patterson latching on to a Richard Keogh mistake. It was a long ball coming up the pitch searching for Jeju. Keogh manages to win the ball, but he heads it straight into the path of Jamie Patterson, who manages to lob the ball over Scott Carlson. Keogh is a player who I feel like divides the Derby fan base as to what they think of him. It wasn't his finest moment in this game, but Derby in fairness did manage to respond quite well, scoring just before half time. Martin Waghorn getting on the goal sheet. In the second half, both sides were creating a lot of chances. What I have noticed with Derby so far this season is they do tend to play with quite a high defensive line, and when your midfield isn't quite at it in terms of winning the ball back, that means the opposition can have quite a bit of joy in terms of getting in behind. The Bristol City were exploiting that quite well actually. Jeju had a fantastic chance to win it, an acrobatical attempt late on, but Scott Carlson pops up with a good save, and in the end finishing as a 1-1 draw. I thought either side could have won it. They were both looking quite good. Then we had Ipswich going up against Sheff Utd. This one finishing as a 1-1 draw. That can provide to be a massive point for Ipswich going into this Christmas period now, and it was Ipswich who managed to take the lead sort of against the run of play. It was a fantastic finish from Ellis Harrison, bending it into the far post to make it 1-0 to Ipswich Town after Sheff Utd had dominated the early stages really. It has been Ipswich's weakness in defending crosses coming into the box so far this season, and you can tell that that's what Sheff Utd's game plan was, looking to swing a lot of balls into the box. They were playing with their wing backs very high, looking to get as many crosses into the box as possible, and in the end that was how Sheff Utd did equalise. It was Ollie Norwood hooking the ball into the box, and then Billy Sharp, the man on the spot, with a diving header to go ahead and make it 1-1. And speaking of Ollie Norwood, I thought he got quite fortunate in this game not to see a red card really for going through the back of Chalobah. It was an off the ball incident. The ball had completely gone and Norwood just seemed to deck Chalobah to the floor with the referee standing right in front of him, and he only got a yellow card for it. I'm not sure how the referee figured that one out. I thought that Sheff Utd probably did get quite lucky not to be reduced to 10 men, but in terms terms of how the game went as a whole, Sheffield United did create the more chances. They just couldn't quite find that winner against this Ipswich side in the end. So quite a few talking points from this game, an interesting one nonetheless. I do see a lot more fight from this Ipswich side now, and maybe a bit more quality going forward as well. Then we had QPR picking up all 3 points away at Nottingham Forest for their first ever victory at the City Ground. I must admit, I didn't see this one coming with the recent history between these two sides, but in the end it was Leicester with the only goal of the game, heading in a Luke Freeman cross coming into the box. There was quite a bit in the build up to this one. I don't think that QPR fans are the biggest fan of Jack Robinson anymore, obviously moving to Nottingham Forest from QPR, and I believe that he was the player who missed the header for Leicester to go ahead and open the scoring. In terms of Nottingham Forest for this game, that's now 2 back-to-back 1-0 home defeats for them, and it was a very pedestrian performance from them. The build-up was very slow. They had a lot of the ball for this one, but a lot of it was sideways and backwards. They weren't really opening up QPR. They weren't opening up the spaces and getting into those goal-scoring opportunities, and when you are going up against sides like QPR and like Preston a couple of weeks ago, they're obviously going to come to the City Ground and look to sit quite deep. Forest need another plan to break down these sort of teams because the way they're playing at the moment is far too slow. In terms of QPR, I thought it was an excellent away performance from them. They did everything they needed to do for this game, and that now leaves them only 4 points off the playoffs. Then we have Middlesbrough getting back to winning ways with a 1-0 away victory at Reading. For this game, it was quite low quality, really. Neither side was looking brilliant for it. Reading probably had the better opportunities, but even then, a lot of them were half chances, really. Darren Randolph was never really forced into any spectacular saves or anything like that. A lot of the areas that Reading were getting into weren't really that penetrating in terms of a Middlesbrough point of view. In the end, it was a George Friend goal, the only goal of the game, being the winner for Middlesbrough in this one. It was Besic who squared the ball across the box, and George Friend was there to smash it in to make it 1-0. Reading in this game probably did get quite unlucky with a couple of penalty shouts, a couple of handballs which could have easily been given. The performance wasn't very good, but picking up all 3 points is all that matters for Middlesbrough at this point in time. And in terms of Reading, they're currently just sat above the relegation zone and have appointed a new manager now as well in Jose Gomez, the Portuguese manager. It's a risky one in my opinion. Reading fans would be very interested to get your verdict on what you make of this down in the comments below. There's no question that Reading are going to be scrapping it around the bottom 3 this season. They're currently just sat above the bottom 3 on goal difference, and he's got a big job to do for the rest of this season. And then we had West Brom beating Rotherham by 4-0. A very convincing performance from the away side in this game, where we saw Dwight Gale scoring a hat-trick. No doubt he is one of the best strikers in the league, and he showed that with this game today. It was quite an inventive free kick for West Brom to take the lead, hitting it under the wall to make it 1-0 to West Brom. His hat-trick was complete in the second half after Rodak made a mistake keeping the ball in play, giving it straight to Dwight Gale, and he managed to make it 4-0 to West Brom. I've got to say that the away side looked absolutely brilliant for this game. They had that killer edge about them, and so far this season we've seen West Brom scoring 50 goals. As we are now halfway through the Championship, if they repeat that for the second half, they're going to end up with 100 goals this season, and for a side to score 100 goals and not end up in the top 2, I can't see that happening really. West Brom, I think, have got a fantastic chance of automatic promotion this season, and the question I ask to you guys is, who do you think is going to finish higher this season? Is it going to be West Brom, or is it going to be Norwich City? They're both winning games in different ways at this point in time, but I'd be interested to know from you guys in the comments down below. For example, I think Wolves last season only scored about 82 goals, and they were one of the best attacking sides we've seen in the Championship in recent years. So West Brom absolutely clinical going forward. Rotherham, they just couldn't live with their quality really. They did have a chance to get back into the game, Ryan Manning having a penalty, but in the end that hit the post, and West Brom were able to keep a clean sheet in the end. So a fantastic away victory for West Brom, who are looking the real deal at the moment. And then we had Sheffield Wednesday against Preston North End, with Sheffield Wednesday recently sacking their manager. They had a bit of a bounce back in this one, and there was a lot more of a feel-good atmosphere around Hillsborough, with Kieran Westwood coming back into the first team as well, and Hutchinson coming off the bench. I find it absolutely baffling that they weren't playing from the start of the season really, but for this one the game did flip on the 26th minute when Preston were reduced to 10 men when Ben Pearson was sent off. The big talking point from this game was a red card or not. There's been quite a bit of debates that I've seen about this one, and I can see it from both angles really. The tackle itself was very clean, you know, he clearly won the ball. It was the follow through which of course resulted in the red card, with both feet being off the ground and his studs showing. He doesn't really catch much of the player, but I can see why the referee's given the red card. It's a frustrating one. What I do find interesting though is Preston have put an appeal in to get this red card rescinded, so we'll see what happens with that one. Me myself, I'd be very surprised if it does get rescinded, but we'll see what happens with that one. For this game though, after that point it was Sheffield Wednesday who went on to dominate it. You know, Preston were playing with 10 men. We've got 8 players currently out injured after Louis Malt went off injured in this game as well now, so we are really down to the bare bones of this squad at this point in time, and Sheffield Wednesday were taking advantage of that. Declan Rudd made some fantastic saves to keep the scoreline down, but eventually Sheffield Wednesday's pressure did pay off with Hector after scoring the header in the 62nd minute. After that, Wednesday weren't really able to capitalise on it and add a couple more goals to that. They started to sit a bit deeper after that, but Preston were never really going to get back into the game. We didn't have anything going forward for this one, and when you're playing with 10 men for the majority of it, you have to write the game off really. So hopefully we bounce back on Boxing Day. Then we had Stoke beating Millwall by 1-0. That's now Stoke unbeaten in 10 championship matches. I believe they've only had 1 defeat in their last 14 as well, so they're on a decent roll of form at this point in time, although a lot of them have been draws, and this game could have quite easily ended as a draw really. Millwall certainly had the chances to get something from this game. Early on, short cross, almost putting the ball into his own net, but a fantastic save from Butland managed to keep the scoreline down. Millwall were getting some decent opportunities, swinging balls into the box, having those chances. Cooper had a fantastic chance which just went over the bar. It's just they didn't have that final bit of quality. Stoke City themselves, I didn't think it was their best performance that we've seen of them so far this season. Was a little bit slow at times, a little bit pedestrian and a little bit predictable. Tommins was probably looking like Stoke's main creative threat going forward, and eventually he turned provider for Berahino to head Stoke 1-0 in front in the second half. And in the end, that was how the game did finish. Millwall tried to get back into it with a couple of late flurries late on, but Stoke were able to hold out for all 3 points, which leaves them 4 points off the playoffs now, with Millwall currently sat in the bottom 3. Then we have Birmingham beating Wigan Athletic by 3-0. A very comfortable away victory for Birmingham in this game, where Wigan lately, we've seen them put in some really dreary performances, and that was another one in that category really. Some of the goals that Birmingham scored in this one I thought were quite avoidable from a Wigan standpoint, but Birmingham, you can't take it away from them. It was a very complete performance from them really. Cherham's taking the lead for Birmingham, so nice one-touch play in the build-up for this one, and finishing to the bottom corner managed to make it 1-0. The 2 goals that followed after that, I think that Wigan will be quite disappointed with how they set up to defend them. Morrison was unmarked at a corner, he managed to make it 2-0 just before half-time, and then Magoma making it 3-0 into the second half. Wigan going forward didn't really carry much of an attacking threat, and after a couple of dodgy performances and results from Birmingham recently, this was a good way for them to get back on track for the rest of the season. They're now only 4 points off the playoffs, so who knows what's possible for them come the end of the season, whereas Wigan slipped all the way down to 19th in the championship. Then we had Hull beating Swansea by 3-2. A very entertaining game, this one. It was Swansea who took the lead after just 3 minutes. A powerful effort from just outside the box from Wilfred Boney, hitting off the post, managed to make it 1-0 to the away side. After that, Swansea were looking quite good in the first half, I thought. They had numerous opportunities where they could have gone 2-0 up and probably should have. Those missed opportunities, of course, did come back to haunt Swansea in this game. Hull had a good chance to get back into the game in the first half. They did get a penalty, but it was well saved in the end. Jared Bowen missing that one. But it was Jared Bowen who was the key instigator in this Hull City comeback. He managed to make it 1-1 after the 70th minute. Some pretty poor defending from Swansea. I thought they were stood there like statues watching Bowen tap it in at the far post. And after that, Hull had a 10-minute spell where they were riding on this confidence. Tommy Elphick managed to give Hull the lead with a nice looping header, and then Jared Bowen makes it 3-1 with a fantastic bending effort. One thing you can't allow Jared Bowen to do is cut inside onto his left foot, because 9 times out of 10 he's doing that same thing, bending it into that far post. A delightful finish from him makes it 3-1 to Hull. Swansea do pull one back in the 88th minute through Burst and Selena, but by that point Hull had walked away with all 3 points. So a fantastic victory for Hull. They've now only been defeated once in their last 10 games, and Swansea really are the architects of their own downfall once again this season. Swansea, I can't get my head around them, because sometimes they can be looking like prime Barcelona with some of their fast build-up play, and other times they can be looking Sunday League with some of the defending that's going on. Then we had Villa against Leeds United, and oh my god, what a game we had in this one. It was end-to-end absolutely fantastic stuff to watch in this one. The comeback from Leeds United, I've got to admit, I'm convinced that Leeds are winning the league now. After this performance, I can't see anyone else taking it but Leeds now, but we'll wait to see. In this game, it was Aston Villa who did start the brighter of the 2 sides though. Tammy Abraham and Conor Hourihane putting Villa 2-0 in front after 17 minutes. The Hourihane goal especially, a very nice finish, bending into the bottom corner from outside the box. Even in the first half where Leeds were 2-0 down, I didn't think the performance was necessarily very bad from them. It was just Villa were more clinical in that first half. There was still some nice build-up play from Leeds. They were asking the right questions, and you could sort of tell that even when they were 2-0 down, you never really thought the Leeds were out of the game. In the second half, Jack Clark was introduced. He managed to get Leeds back into the game. A nice curling effort into the far post. Then only 5 minutes after that, Pontus Jansson manages to make it 2-2. At this point, the game is in the balance. Both sides are having opportunities. One player who I enjoyed watching for Aston Villa for this one was Yannick Velassi. He was pulling off some outrageous skills in this game, but Villa just couldn't quite find that clinical ability that they had in the first half to go ahead and break Leeds down in that second half. But then, of course, in the 95th minute, that was when Kemar Roofe stepped up to go ahead and win it for Leeds United. Villa, they'll be shooting themselves in their own foot, really, because this was a highly avoidable goal. El Mohammadi making a mistake. The ball was hooked into the box. All that El Mohammadi had to do was let the ball go out for a goal kick, leave the ball, not head it back into the play. He decides to head it back. Obviously, there is a bit of miscommunication there in this Villa defence. He heads it straight into the path of Kemar Roofe, who expertly finishes it to make it 3-2 to Leeds United, and there was absolute scenes at full time for this one. It's probably the fair result, because Leeds probably should have had a couple of penalties in this one. One handball in the second half especially definitely should have been given. But in the end, Villa were made to pay for their defensive errors, and what a 3 points that could be for Leeds United come the end of the season. They are now sat top of the table on 48 points, and like I said, I really can't see anyone going past Leeds this season. But guys, there were all the games that did take place this weekend, so let me know down below, what did you make of your team's performance? I'm always interested to know. In terms of the result of the weekend, I'm going to have to give it to Leeds United for turning things around against Aston Villa with their 3-2 away victory. And then in terms of my goal of the weekend, there were a couple of contenders for this one, but myself personally, I'm going to give it to Jarrod Bowen for his fantastic second goal against Swansea City. And now we will move on into my Boxing Day score predictions. So all the games will be listed in the description down below, so you guys can easily go ahead and make your score predictions. And if you do manage to get any of them correct, your comment will be included into the next video. So we got quite a few decent games going on Boxing Day. Birmingham going up against Stoke. I'm going to back that one to finish as a 1-1 draw. Stoke unbeaten in 10 games in the Championship, but Birmingham a very positive performance against Wigan Athletic. Bolton against Rotherham, a huge game at the bottom of the Championship, and I'm actually going to back Bolton for a 1-0 home victory. I don't see too many goals being scored in that game, but Bolton have to get something from that game, there's no doubt about it. Bristol City going up against Brentford. I'm going to back Bristol City for a 2-1 home victory. Brentford picked up a big victory this weekend, but even so, Bristol City I think have looked better recently. Leeds going up against Blackburn. I'm going to say Leeds will walk away with a 2-0 home victory. Middlesbrough against Sheff Wednesday. I don't see a lot of goals being scored in that one. I think that Sheff Wednesday, now they've got Westwood back in goal, will be a lot better defensively, but Middlesbrough, not many goals tend to be scored there, so I'll say that one will finish as a goalless draw. Millwall against Reading, I see quite a few goals being scored. Will be Reading's new manager's first game in charge. I'll say that one will finish as a 2-2 draw. Norwich against Forest, I'll say 2-1 to Norwich. Forest haven't really been looking too convincing lately. Preston going up against Hull. We've got just an abundance of injuries at this point in time, and Hull have been scoring a lot of goals recently. Hull may have the edge in this one, but I will say it'll finish as a 1-1 draw. QPR going up against Ipswich. Ipswich picked up some massive results lately, but QPR have been looking very good. I'll say 2-1 QPR. Sheff Utd against Derby, a very tough one to predict. I'm just going to back Derby for a 2-1 away victory. Sheff Utd have been a little bit inconsistent lately. Swansea against Aston Villa, I'll say will end 2-2. Another game where I see quite a few goals being scored. And then finally we have West Brom going up against Wigan Athletic. I'm going to say West Brom will walk away with a 4-1 home victory. Defensively, Wigan have been looking all over the place recently, and going forward they've not looked much better either. So for that game, I'll say 4-1 West Brom. So guys, they have it there on my Boxing Day score predictions. Let me know in the comments down below, what are your score predictions, if you agree with mine or not. But apart from that, that will now wrap it up for this episode of the Championship Roundup. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for some regular Championship content. Hope everyone has a fantastic Christmas. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.